We've got Carolina, Edmonton, 67-68. We've got Edmonton minus 140 home chalk in this game. Total sitting at 5.5. Pretty much minus 110 across the board. And, we got to call it like we see it. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers start has been massively disappointing. 1-3 so far. You already see Todd McClellan in press conferences voicing very obvious frustration, very obvious displeasure with his hockey team. For a team loaded with expectations that they're going to win the Pacific Division, that they could win the West, that they could win a Stanley Cup. This has definitely been a little bit of a troubling first 4 games for the Edmonton Oilers. And now making matters worse, you're going to be without Leon Draisaitl for a little bit of time. That's not good. He's out with a concussion. You're already without Andrej Sekera. And I think people are not factoring in that Andrej Sekera injury enough, because I think this team's a little bit weaker and worse. They are worse without him on the back end. They need Sekera back in the worst way. He's still not returning anytime soon. Now you've got Leon Draisaitl out with that injury. So this is going to be a good challenge. Young team still for the most part, this Edmonton team. Good challenge for them early on in the campaign. How are they going to handle this adversity? The fact that defensively you've not played all that great. And I do have concerns about Cam Talbot. I said it coming into the season that, this is a guy that played by far the most games he's played in a single season. Not even close. What did he play? Over 70 games in the regular season last year? And Cam Talbot's coming from a situation in New York where he's starting, maybe 8 to 10 times a year. That's about it. I mean, in terms of a workload increase, it's huge, massive, huge jump in terms of number of games played. And he looks like it a little bit, just slow in reacting to pucks, not getting post to post quick enough. Rebound control at times has been a little from Cam Talbot. So there's issues here for Edmonton. Carolina, to me, is another tough team to figure out. I think there's good in this hockey team. I think they're improving. I like Lindholm. I like Victor Rask. I like a lot of these young players on this Hurricanes team, but they're still maddeningly inconsistent. That's the issue. They started the season with a shootout win against Minnesota, followed that up with 2 losses against Winnipeg and Columbus in back-to-back games. They'll see if they can continue this road trip here and get back on the win column. But the good news for Carolina is they've outshot every opponent. 42-27 against Minnesota, 38-27 against Columbus, 29-21 against Winnipeg. Defensively, they've done pretty good for Bill Peters. And eventually you've got to think that that winning the shots battle, game in, game out, keeping things in check, when you're only giving up the last 3 games, 27, 27, 21 shots, you're doing pretty good, especially in this new era of NHL with the increase in penalties that we've seen early in the season. Carolina's doing something well to hold teams in the 20s in shots on goal. That might pay off. I don't know if I'll bet it, but I've certainly got to lean to Carolina. I don't like what I'm seeing here for Edmonton, and I got a plus price here with the Hurricanes in this particular game. We've got Dana and Andrew involved on this game, Carolina and Edmonton. Let's go to Andrew. Your thoughts on the Canes and the Oilers here tonight in Edmonton?
Yeah, to me, guys, I think that this is like the picture-perfect spot here where I'm liking Edmonton. I just think that they've, look back all the way to last season. They've had those high expectations coming into the playoffs. Everyone's all over them. Now we fast forward a little bit heading into this season. Everyone's, high on them to win the cup, high on how McDavid can get even better, how this team can improve even more. I think they've had a rough start, that's for sure. And I think, one wrong move I think Todd McClellan did, and I think a lot of the media has kind of agreed with this, is that, he's called out his team publicly. And that's not something you should do as a coach, especially this early in the year. He's called out his team. He said, look, you're playing like absolute shit. You're not performing. Our top guys aren't performing. Not only the whole entire cast, not only the whole crew, just strictly the top guys aren't performing. And I think this is the night, guys, where the Edmonton Oilers come out against the Carolina Hurricanes team, which, Ian, you mentioned it, is pretty inconsistent. They're one of those teams right now where if I was to looking to take them, it's going to be, when they're getting plus money, but not against this Edmonton team right now. I think this is the spot where Edmonton wakes up at home and jumps all over this Carolina Hurricanes team. I'm on them on the puck line at plus 200. I think this is the game, guys, where you kind of wake up the beasts. I do think they're overhyped coming into this season, but I think we're going to discover tonight that the Oilers have a little bit more depth than everybody thinks that they do, and the inexperience and the youth of the Hurricanes are really going to come out. So I really don't think it's right for coaches to call out their players, especially McDavid, someone that's your best player, your go-to guy, your Hart Trophy winner, your MVP. So tonight's going to be the night where the beasts are awakened, and I think this game should have lots of goals. I would look to either bet a team total on Edmonton or to take Edmonton on the puck line.
Yeah, you know what? I think Todd McClellan did this last year as well with this Edmonton team, where he called them out after a stink bomb of a game, and they did respond, I think, pretty well. And I remember it was, I think, a game two where Benoit Pouliot took not one, not two, but three bad penalties in the same game, and he just let the guy have it. Todd McClellan. I mean, he was just pissed off beyond belief that Benoit Pouliot was doing that, so with that undisciplined play that ended up costing Edmonton in a big way. It's an interesting handicap here in this game because you've got, an Edmonton team that's, 3 losses in a row. I mean, getting stomped by Ottawa 6-1 the other night, not good at all whatsoever. An Ottawa team, too, that was a little not jet lagged, but a little road weary. They'd been on the road for a bit. And still to lose that game at home the way they did, very concerning. But after Todd McClellan obviously lets his team have it after that game, is this going to be that circle the wagon spot? I will say this for Edmonton defensively and for Talbot, who's had a little rough go, although he hasn't gotten a lot of help so far. Carolina is struggling to put the puck in the net. So if this team is finally going to dig in defensively, get back on track, have a convincing showing, it's going to be tonight, because Carolina offensively last few games just haven't been able to generate much at all. We've got Dana involved in this game as well. Carolina taking on Edmonton. Dana, what are you looking at in this one?
Well, I can tell you this, now that I know we can swear in this show, my analysis will be much better. But for me, when you look at both of these teams, they're both averaging at least 36 shots a game, and that leads me to go over to the over on this, because, and especially at even money, I know that both of these teams are going to make each other's goaltenders very active during the course of the game. And it's just a matter of, sometimes, like the last 2 years, a team that has won the Stanley Cup has led the National Hockey League in shots on goal. Are they quality shots on goal? That's what you have to decipher. I think Edmonton and Carolina has had enough quality opportunities to allow me to go on the over. And with the penalty with the injury situation, you have, again, guys out of place. You have Yamamoto is playing on that first line. You have guys that are going to have that next man up mentality. Okay, so when you are playing out of position or playing more minutes than you used to, sometimes that leads to mistakes, and mistakes, as we know, leads to goals. So again, that bodes well for the over. And like you said, Ian, this Cam Talbot has played a ton of games, and sooner or later, whether we're talking about teams or individuals, sooner or later that has to catch up. That's caught up to the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, they've had virtually no time off between Stanley Cup runs and the opening of camp, and now, well, at least last year and the year before, we saw first-round exits out of them. I don't know if that led to it, but you certainly can't say that wasn't a factor. And now Cam Talbot, who has played a ton of minutes, we're starting to see maybe some cracks in his game. He's allowed 12 goals on his last 78 shots. That's a .650 save percentage. If you want to go under with a guy who's trending to save 65% of shots against teams that take 36 a game, be my guest on that. The Oilers at home have been always an over team. 6 of the last 7 games have gone over. From the Oilers, I tend to always go with teams at least in their first or maybe second game where they're trying to overcome injuries, because also with guys moving up and taking different roles, they also are kind of at a heightened awareness, and they give 100%, and there's not that relaxed factor. So I don't think it's going to hurt Edmonton now, but I think it will, in games maybe 3, 4, and 5, depending on how long these guys are out. I'm looking at the over on this at 5.5 at even money. To me, there's nothing that really points to the under for me. So we're gonna jump on that today.
Yeah, and Bill Peters is already talking to his team as well.
I was going to say, Ian, we talk about, getting a tongue lashing from your coach. I mean, well, Carolina is no stranger to that, because Bill Peters had no problem calling out his team last year, probably not in a manner that either of his netminders would have liked, but that's both of these teams have coaches that are trying to crack the whip a little bit, and we didn't see Carolina make much movement after Bill Peters did it. We'll see how Edmonton responds.
Yeah, exactly. And even after the last game, Bill Peters, he's just saying, can we get to 3? He was really kind of, just saying, can we get to 3 in terms of goals scored? I mean, he's like, it's a race to 3 in this league. You've got to be able to get to 3. to get a point, if not 2 points. So yeah, he was basically saying, can we get to 3? So he's just basically challenging his offense here after getting held to 1 goal apiece in their last 2 games. Scott Darling's not been the issue. He's turned aside 44, 48 shots here for this Carolina team in between the pipes. He's been very, very solid, but Bill Peters is sick of seeing his goalie have to shoulder so much of the load for this team. It happened far too many times last year where Cam Ward had to be that good and the offense didn't get going. We'll see if the Lindholms and Victor Rasks and the guys of that ilk can get going a little bit here. Skinner. We'll see if any of those guys can get going here for the Carolina.
Got that.
Yeah.
Nobody got that, Ian.
No, exactly. The old Simpsons line, Principal Skinner from way back in the day. Great show. Carolina Edmonton, great game. This is going to be a good game to watch too, guys, because you got both teams probably looking to make a statement here because both teams are not happy with the way they're trending going into this particular hockey game.